We'll go straight into questions for Coach.
But you've been up 93 points today. How much of that was being shorthanded, and how much of that was just going up against one of the better offensive teams in the ACC?
Yeah, I just think they're real good. It's hard to win if you give up 93 points or 104. And I don't remember what it was the first game, but we're going to have to improve defensively for sure.
But of course, we saw their second unit really step out 35 points tonight. How would you describe the importance of the second unit, especially when you look at theirs, which it's made up of a lot of young guys like Walker and Forrest, but then there's some experienced guys like Jarquez Smith as well?
I just think they have 12 high major plus players. And I think I'm not coaching the team, but I think he probably manages their energy level and their skill set and matches it accordingly. I think they're really good.
Obviously, with them being one of the better teams in the country, was there certain things you were hoping to do better defensively, or you just ran into a pretty talented team that was?
I think what I would say is if going into today, 27% of their baskets were in transition, and they shot 64% from that 27%. 8% of their points were on putbacks, and they shot 63%. So 35% of their baskets were in transition or in putbacks, and they shot 63.5%. So today, they scored 16 points on putbacks, and this is wrong because whoever does this doesn't know what they're doing, and they scored 17 points in transition. So what is that? 33 points out of their 93 points, they shot 63%. So if they shot 63% on transition and putbacks, and for the game they shot 49%, when it wasn't transition and it wasn't a second shot, what field goal percentage defense was that? Does that make sense? So that means our field goal percentage defense, when our defense was set, was pretty good. But what leads to that is 13 of our 16 turnovers were live ball, right? And so if your offense is not helping your defense, that means your offense is hurting your defense, and live ball turnovers definitely do that.
Was Stephen D diagnosed with concussion, I guess? Is that why?
I don't know if it would be certified concussion. I think it's more concussive. So it's a little bit different protocol.
Is he game to game pretty much, I guess? Or?
I would say game to game probably means day to day, because you have to take the test every day. So he took the test today, but obviously I don't know the test results.
You lost 2 in a row here, but of course, how much of that, 2 road games and being shorthanded both games versus, are there certain things you need to do better than you had been this week?
Well, I think injury is a part of sport, not just our sport, any sport. So that's never justifiable because it's not controllable. I think that we have to figure out defensively how to do better, and our turnover rate has to significantly drop. If 13 out of the 16 were live ball turnovers and they shot 72% in transition, and you only got out rebounded by 5, but on the offensive glass you only got out rebounded by 1, that means you're doing some good things, right? But the things that we're doing bad, we're doing real bad.
Last year, you guys had some games against FSU, you were able to come back by 10 and win, and then in the ACC tournament, you really just bullied them in the paint. What did you see from them today, almost mentality-wise, that's changed in the last year?
I played coaching my first year as a head coach in a guarantee game, and I'm not sure that there's any coach in the country that I respect more than Coach. And I love his story. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. That's my opinion. I think he's too much of an afterthought. I understand football is really important here. But nationally, I don't think that he gets the credit that he deserves. I don't think that they're the exact same team at all that they were last year. And so that would have been the 2006 is November. It was the 3rd week of November when I played him my first year as a head coach. I think this is the best team he's ever had.
Even better than the 2012 team that won the ACC title?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I wasn't in the ACC in 2012. I think they can play a lot of different ways, the way you mentioned, and I don't necessarily look at it as a platoon. But if you are platooning, obviously that means there's a lot of different options relative to what's going on in the game. And I just think they're ultra talented. I think Stan Jones and CY and Coach Gates, I think those guys, Dickie Nutt, all those guys, I think they're really, really good.
You spent a lot of time in Marquette, in a good basketball league. Is this conference, this year's ACC, as tough as anything that you've ever been a part of?
I don't know. I've been beat so many times since then. I don't know that I could accurately answer it. What I would say is the rules of the game have changed, right? And so the leagues have changed, but so have the rules. And so it's not near as physical across Division I as it once was. And so that's why you see so many points are being scored and everybody says, well, you can't guard. Well, you have to figure out how to guard within the rules, but I think that's why you see so many more teams playing zone. I just think that it's a different game. And I think as things continue to transpire since the rules have changed, the rules have changed, the shot clock has changed, and I think that's changed how the game is played. I think it's changed how the game is recruited. And to an extent, I think it's changed how the game is coached. I'm not deserving of having coached in either of those leagues. Both of them are way above my head, and both of them are way beyond anything that I ever dreamed. But to compare, I think it's different because it's a different era.
But only 4 threes you guys made today. Was that not having Seth, or was their defense making a tough shooting day for you from there?
Well, they're just so aggressive defensively. They hawk the ball, but then off the ball, their length for sure maybe hurries shots. But I don't necessarily, we took what we define as bad shots, we took 5 of them. And we had more great and perfect shots than we did good and bad, which is polar opposite of what we did in Raleigh. So we typically score more than 4. But obviously if you lose a guard, that's probably going to skew the numbers a little bit.
It was a hard-fought game. It got a little chippy at the end. Did you guys have any issue with how many?
I didn't even know what was going on. I was shaking Coach's hand. I think the officials are wanting to get a little bit more TV time, would be my guess.
Anything else for Coach?
Buzz, the past couple of years, you've had a run where you've, in conference play, you've faced 4 straight ranked opponents. Just how challenging is it to have that number? And I think Florida State's in a run of 6 straight ranked.
Yeah. I think every coach could complain about the schedule. I did it last year, so I'm taking the year off. But I just think that it's the power and the strength of the league. It's not, we're supposed to be the bad team, right? Last year we were picked next to last. This year we were a double-digit pick again, and we may be a double-digit team. But it's like, well, we win game number 1, and then we go on the road in game number 2, and it's like, what happened? Pitt beats Virginia, and then they go on the road, and it's like, what happened today? And, you always hear coaches say, well, you can't get too high and you can't get too low. That's true, but that's why you don't see a lot of coaches with a long shelf life, because it's just so volatile, And then you got to come in here and talk to guys like you that have all the answers, and it's just wears you out. I just think it's a great league, and you what you end up doing is when you're not playing, not in a sadistic way, maybe in a demented way, it's like, man, I'm glad those guys are getting crushed emotionally. You know what I mean? It's like, look at that guy. It's like funny in a demented way. And then you wake up on game day and it's whatever time it is and I haven't eaten, and it's, I would say most coaches are like that. My wife's like, you got to eat so you can have some energy. And I'm like, I got plenty of energy. I'm scared to death. Like, I don't need any food.
Anything else for Coach?
Early timeouts in the first half, was that just to come back and run, and also with their depth, get your guys some?
Both. Yeah, both. Was planning to use 2, was willing to use 2, wasn't completely hell-bent on not using 3. Fortunate. I thought we played much better in the second half on both ends of the floor. Only 6 turnovers versus 10. That limits their runs. Part of it was our depth concern relative to our concern of their depth. Part of it was they're so explosive in transition, and you got to try to gear that down as best you can. And I had talked to our team about that. They weren't unaware, but that was my thought process. And I think the foul trouble, 3 guys with 2 fouls in the second half, trying to manage that a little bit, offense for defense. So maybe a combination of all of that.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.